Welcome back to Random Crossing Horizons. I'm Day Darling. As you can see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today on the 1st of August, as we sort of, I suppose, really get into the summer months or something. I mean, it's a bit weird because certainly when you're younger, you go like June and July, the start of summer months, and August is sort of meant to be like a winding down of the summer months. But I don't know, to me August always felt like the most summery of all the months to a certain degree. You might be like, that's not necessarily fair nor true, and you know, you got a fair point depending on what sort of angle you're coming from. You know, July's kind of like in the middle of summer or what have you, and August is certainly near the tail end, and like straight after August is kind of like when school starts for most people who are still in schooling days, so you know, fair enough. Anyway, hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 4:50 p.m. on Monday, August 1st, 2022. So yeah, I basically took most of July off because I was doing art fight. Well, I wasn't like continuously doing art fight, but I wanted to make sure I had time to do art fight in my recreational time rather than, you know, a balance of like drawing and recording videos. So I got back to recording today. I recorded the next episode of Anarchy. I apologise if you watch those videos. You can very much tell I haven't been like continuously I haven't played that game for ages. So for one, I couldn't remember like a lot of the controls or a lot of the strategy. Despite the fact I feel like I did okay in the end, but a lot of it is I couldn't really get a conversation going because I felt so like out of practice playing the game again. And I was sort of just like, I can't remember how to do things properly. But you know, that's what happens when it comes to a hiatus. Some games are easy to ease back into because I remember last year when I did it. I was playing Celeste at the time, and Celeste is one of the ones which Celeste was really easy to sort of just slip back into. You know, I was like, oh, as soon as I got back to it, it was like, oh my gosh, this Joy-Con drift is terrible. As soon as I got back into it, I was just like, oh yeah, you know, it's perfectly fine. Like the muscle memory has come back to me very quickly. Whose item is this going to be? Pins of different pop stars. This must be Audie's, so we'll do our best to seek her out. Oh, hello. You want to talk to us, Raymond? Yeah, and you also might have noticed that today that Pyre has been uploaded rather than Anarchy, and that's because, as I mentioned before, because I thought Anarchy was a story-based game. Anarchy was in the story slot, which is on Mondays and Thursdays. Turns out Anarchy is not, and Anarchy is almost entirely a mechanical-based game, so that now has gone into the Wednesday-Saturday slot, which is normally the mechanical games, which is where Pyre was originally, because I didn't realise quite how story-based Pyre was, but Pyre is now in the Monday slot, just for a final episode, and then on Thursday, the next series will start. It's either one or two series because I haven't decided which YouTube thumbnail I'm going to do, but it's probably going to be, I'm probably going to choose one with a far simpler thumbnail to do because I haven't done it yet. And I'm a little busy this week, so I likely won't have time to spend to do a really complicated thumbnail art. But luckily, one of the games I have lined up for the story slot has probably one of the easiest thumbnail arts I'll ever have to draw. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it's so simple, and you'll see why. I mean, if you're really thinking, you can probably think of a story-based game which has come out within the past 3 years, I think, with an incredibly simple splash art style. And you might be able to guess which one I have in mind. Sorry, I keep fiddling with my hair because my crocodile clip is kind of falling out. It's suddenly gotten very hot recently, but you know, sometimes it happens. That's just well, I suppose how life is, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, so hopefully that will come out. I'll be recording episodes of that tomorrow probably, and then I think tomorrow, unless yes, okay. I do have one backed up of a Stephen sausage roll, which is like good. I like to say I didn't give myself a lot of backup, mainly because I started pre-recording things in advance quite late. I kind of forgot, so I spent like the latter half of June, I think, mostly doing my recording, so that's why I don't really have much of a big backlog. I normally try to have about a 2 week to 3 week backlog, which I think is nice, but you know, I built up like a 5 week backlog, I think. For where am I going? I need to go to Halves Island, don't I? We'll check Rowan's house because we are here and we might as well, but I'm a bit thirsty, sorry. But yeah, anyway, the final episode of Pyre is coming out today. I'll drop hints on what the next series is. I mean, I already dropped quite a few hints. Basically, think of something where the splash art style is very simple. It came out, I think it came out 2019 or 2020, I'm not sure exactly off the top of my head. I hope it's story driven. I don't actually know if it's story driven. I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure it's story driven. And what other sort of like what other sort of hint can I give? We'll do flowers afterwards, I think. Let's sort out inventory at Halves Island first, and then we'll come back and sort out the flowers because it rained. What sort of hints could I end up giving? about this game. Oh, you know what? There's a really good hint, but I had to check something about that hint before I actually give it. Just check something. I can't say what I'm checking because otherwise what? Well, that's not the hint I thought I'd be giving. I guess the hint I'm giving is wait. I don't know if that's a correct hint or not. That's not what I expected. I'm gonna be honest. But that might be the case. So I guess that's my hint. Yeah. I mean, originally I was going to do a different series, but I don't think I can finish the YouTube thumbnail out for that in time. So that's I'm sort of pivoting to this series. It's fine because I wanted to play both of them. They're both going to be a story style, but that other game is probably going to come immediately after this game. But yeah, it's just a bit weird, I suppose, like re-recording again after you've taken quite a long break. Well, it's kind of weird, like doing anything. And I'm not going to turn this into relearning skills sort of episode where I talk about relearning skills all over again, because I've done that I think like 5 times now. So let's try and find something else to talk about. What happens recently? I believe the women's team in the United Kingdom won. I don't even know what football competition it is. I think it's a women's Euro Cup, which is pretty cool, to be honest. I don't think we were the favourites, as I understand it, to come in. Like, you might be like, oh, you know, UK loves football. Sorry, soccer, if you're American. To clarify, it's not American football. Nor is it rugby football. But you might be like, oh, yeah, UK loves, like, soccer and that sort of thing. Surely your soccer team is, like, the best out of all of Europe. Well, actually, a lot of countries in Europe love soccer. I think Germany's women's team is the best out of all of Europe or something. And I think that's who we defeated in the finals. I didn't watch any of it. I don't really watch sports much in the first place, let alone soccer or football. Why am I calling it American now? Because I personally was never particularly invested in football or any of the sort of things. Like even throughout school, you know, people talk about football all the time. Both in primary school and secondary school, people played football all the time. But I was never one to play because I didn't really find it all that interesting, I suppose. I mean, you might be like, part of the reason might be, is it because it's not a very big thing in China? I mean, it's slowly building up sort of like popularity in China, but certainly I think basketball is the biggest sport of like the major sports in China. Not sure if it's the biggest out of all sports, to be perfectly honest, but I mean like out of sports which are popular in the Western world, basketball is certainly the most popular of them, I believe, in China, though football might be getting more and more popular. Oh my gosh, my hair is just come undone again. This crocodile clip. See, it's got a very strange design where the actual clip itself is not actually big enough, I think, to quite clip everything. So my hair sort of falls out at the bottom, which is very annoying, but it's okay. I mean, it's only meant to be a very sort of temporary, easy thing to do. But yeah, football, I never really watched, I never really followed the stories. I didn't support anyone. Like, the only team I would claim I supported back in primary school would be Chelsea, and that's not for any reason except for my friend was basically a massive Chelsea fan. In primary school, he loved Chelsea with all his heart and just supported them through and through. And I was just like, I don't know, you're my best friend. I guess I'll support Chelsea too, despite the fact I know literally nothing about football. And it's crazy because I didn't even know how you played football that well. I knew a bit of a basic concept: run with ball and kick into goal. That's basically as much as I knew back in primary school. You know, I didn't know things about positions, offsides, you know, handballs, etc., etc. I never really even considered, even thought about it. And I didn't remember playing football once on a primary school playground, which was because normally I spent time like we had like climbing frames, we had like other things in primary school. So when I was younger, I'd spend time on climbing frames, and when I'm older, I'd spend time on climbing frames, except for I just like sit there talking with people instead of actually, you know, doing anything physical, I suppose. But yeah, but the one time I played football with my friends in primary school was it was the no, let me set the stage. It was the summer holiday, not summer holiday, sorry. It was the summer term. So around June times, July times is very warm, and in our primary school, most of the time we played on the tarmac, the asphalt sort of playground. Because I guess it's just easy to watch people or whatever. But in the summer term, if a day was hot enough, I don't know what sort of arbitrary reason they chose, but on some of the days they'd be like the blow the whistle goes free, and then everyone's like, oh, because everyone knows what's coming, and then the lunch lady goes, it's, oh, go on the field or something. They'd be like, oh, like it's field day or something, and then all the children go, yeah, and they all like run to the field, because we had the playground, and immediately next to the playground we had like a big, not like a massive like open space, but maybe like, I'm not very good at estimating like distances, I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to guess it was around, let me think, 100 meters by 100 meters? 100 meters by 150 meters or something of a field. And people love to go on there on summer and like, you know, play games or whatever. You get like a whole change of pace or something as a child, so you're just like, whoa, this is crazy. And my hair has come undone again, which is really ruining the story here, but I'll continue on anyway. Yeah, it was super fun. And we'd always go onto a field, we'd do things, whatever, like, you know, quite often the boys would just go on and, you know, play football. And the one time I actually played football is, you know, we didn't actually have a football, because I think the kid who often brought in his football, you weren't allowed like the big footballs, you could only have like these sort of mini footballs, which are basically sort of like handball size, I suppose, on the field. So they played with like a tennis board for whatever reason, and for whatever reason I was like, alright, this is the one time I'm going to choose to join in and play football with my friends. And I played it. I can't remember if I did anything interesting. It was more like a sort of like a baby's first version of football, I suppose, to a certain degree. And I played it and had a good time, but I was like, yeah, it's not really for me. Most of the time I spent on the field, I'd sort of like sit under the shade of a tree. You know, there's a conker tree there, so sometimes you can pick conkers, or you pick daisies and make daisy chains. That was a really fun thing to do, or you just like walk around the field, to be perfectly honest. So I'm just sort of readjusting this hair clip before it falls out my hair again. I really should have got a different hair clip. Not that I have anything against this one, but this one clearly was not designed for people with as much hair as I have. So my hair's quite long, and like it goes down to like the top of my stomach, I'd say, like, maybe about diaphragm sort of area, so it's quite long. So tying it all up is a bit of a nuisance, I would say. And I couldn't be bothered to, well, it didn't feel like it was that hot this morning, so I didn't actually like tie my hair up properly. So I only clipped it like just before recording this, because I was like, man, it got really hot, the nape of my neck. Anyway, so but that's the only time I played football, and then I was like, yeah, it's not really for me. So then I proceeded never to play it again, to be honest. And then, you know, throughout secondary school, didn't play it. And I don't think I even went to the playground all that often in secondary school. It's just like a battleground for playgrounds. Like I don't know how people keep track of it or whatever. There's like 6 different years or whatever, all playing their own game of football or whatever, but they're all using like very similar sort of areas to play football, and like similar sort of areas and goals, and the playing fields are all like overlapping and intersecting, which make it very difficult, I'd imagine, to keep track of exactly what's going on in the football game. But what do I know, I suppose. I remember actually a story. It's not a very interesting story. It's one of those stories that obviously is only interesting to me because I remember it. But I remember that it was something in science in year 7 or something. We had one of our homework assignments is we had to write about times, or give examples about times where we like took records or measurements of things. And I remember just sitting there and being like, I don't really know what times I've made measurements or things like that. So one of the things I put down was the fact I was like, whenever my friends would play football in primary school, I would keep track of the score or something. It was something about like, when do you like note down numbers for whatever reason, or like observe things and write things down or whatever. I can't remember. That was like along that I listed that down along with a load of other things. And I remember the teacher said it during class. Being like, oh, I got a lot of good homework assignments and like examples of people when they're doing like note taking, like research things, and like, because I guess it was meant to be a sort of like that was a very noisy bed. I don't know if you heard outside. Meant to be a reflection of like the scientific process or whatever. That's, you know, kind of what you're trying to teach. And then he, you know, used my thing as an example, being like, oh, you know, like people recording scores, and when them like when friends are playing like football or whatever. And I was like, ooh, hope he doesn't know I never actually did that. I just made it up for that homework assignment. Not to say that I'd never played football. You know, I played football that one time, so that's something. Did I keep track of score? I think I probably did. I don't think I wrote it down. And to be fair, I probably had kept track of score before. Not necessarily in football, but like in the other games that we used to play or whatever. Or something similar along those lines. But never actually write it down. I feel like people would you know, sort of raise an eyebrow at you, be like, what are you getting out a piece of paper for, to write down, you know, like 3-2 or something? It's like, you can't keep two numbers in your head? I guess the answer is no. Actually, the craziest thing about the way that playground football seems to work is there doesn't seem to be any sides or whatever. It just seems to be everyone. It's sort of like 3-on-3 basketball hoops, except for basketball. So I guess there are teams. Maybe I never really paid enough attention for it. But it just seemed like there was one person who was goalkeeper the entire time, and it was just like literally a free for all, and anyone tries to score a goal. Because we had this thing in our primary school where we basically had the playground, and then we had like a ramp which led up to the field, which obviously as a child I didn't understand what it's for, but then you know, as an adult I understand that's probably because if they wanted ever like a car or vehicle to drive up onto the field, because it was on different levels. Like the field was about 40 centimeters, like half a meter I think above the actual playground. For whatever reason it was just elevated, for who knows why. You need like kind of a ramp to actually drive up, you know, and it's not like a car can just like drive up a wall unless it's like, I don't know, a monster truck or something, and maybe it can. They always used that thing as the goal, like that, like sort of ramp area. Because to be fair, it was around the sort of width of like a school football goal, maybe a bit smaller, but certainly primary school. So I don't know. That's the only one they use as a goal. I don't know what they use as a goal on the other side, because I never saw them use a goal. Sometimes in summer, and they take off their jumpers and they put two jumpers down to be like that. These other goalposts. I don't really know. It's just, I suppose it's just a way to keep active. But you know, I remember actually, this is just like it completely unlocked some random memory in my brain. Is that in primary school, I'm pretty sure we had a day called No Ball Day, because the playground was largely dominated by the kids playing football, whatever, which made it, you know, it's kind of dangerous, because you know you have ages about like. What was year 2? About ages from like 5 at the youngest, all the way up to kids who are like 11, and you know the kids who are like 5 or whatever, and they're like all on the same playground, and you know sometimes they get hit by a stray football, because you know the kids, especially when they're young, they really kick it as hard as they can, to be honest, try and put some welly behind it. And I'm not gonna say it's dangerous necessarily, but it's sort of just like accidents do happen, to try and you know, it's kind of like a lot of kids, I think they found out in primary school, with just in very much younger years, were like, I don't want to go on the playground because there's like, I'm just going to get hit by footballs, and it's really annoying because everyone's not just like running about all over the place. It's far too hectic. And there was like a smaller part of the playground you could go into. We had actually 2 playgrounds. One, we had a very small playground, which is for like receptions, year 1s and year 2s actually, or maybe nurseries reception year, I can't remember. Anyway, up to like 6-year-olds or whatever. And then as soon as you hit, that's it, as soon as you hit year 3, you had to go to a big playground. You're not allowed in the younger person's playground anymore, which I suppose makes sense. Because I suppose that's probably starting to become the age where, you know, the kids are starting to get a bit rowdy. But like, if you had the entire playground, if it's like a rectangle, like an A4 piece of paper or whatever, I'd say like 2/3, the right 2/3 were completely dominated by people playing football, and the left 1/3 is, I suppose, a free-for-all. But you know, a lot of people didn't necessarily want to play football. So that's why we had like a no ball day. I think it was like every Thursday or something. You weren't allowed to play ball games or whatever. And that's, you know, when I spent most of the time playing, you know, games with like our entire class. We played like things like It, which is what we called it here, you know, at least where I'm from, which you might call it Tag in America. You might call it Tig if you're up north, I think in the UK. You might call it other things. There's like one place like in the Midlands or something which names it some very odd specific thing, which I was just like, what? I don't know if that's what you named it. I can't believe we checked Able Sisters quite a few of the days and we've never found the hair bows for sale. It's astonishing, if anything. Yeah, I don't know. Someone did like, not a study, that's probably not really the right word, but they did a sort of like survey about what you would call the playground game of chase, of tag or tig or it or whatever, depending where you are in the UK. Hold on, let me find it. Map of UK it. No. Map of UK playground game name. Playground chasing game. Wow, okay. What? Okay, no. Us versus them has moved. Alright. So it's called Tig in majority of the north. It's got what? It's called Tag in majority of the south area. it isn't even on this, so I don't know why we called it in our playground. It's called Tuggy and Tiggy. I don't even know what that is. Tick, Tip, Dobby, catch chase in Western Wales. Had he hit? What? Oh, at private schools there's a lot more tag and it. Okay, well I didn't go to a private school. Oh, Celeste is here, so I assume that means she'll be here later evening. I didn't go to a private school, private primary school, nor a private secondary school, so I don't know. Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Wow, other countries. Australia likes chasing Tiggy. Finnegan's a hipper. I'm just reading all of these. United States uses tags almost anywhere, universally. Weird. Well, not weird, but, you know, I suppose it's kind of normal, if anything. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was more of a private school thing to call it it. And I don't know where on earth we picked it up from, because there aren't even... I mean, there are some private schools that were near the primary school I went to, but, like, not in the immediate vicinity, I suppose. You'd have to go over to, like, a couple of different towns, I suppose, for it. But they did exist. Like, some of my friends in secondary school went to a private primary school. I don't know why they didn't go to a private secondary school. I guess maybe it was just too expensive or something. Who really knows? But anyway, sip of water. Little drop of water, please. We'll go to Red and we'll buy his other things. His other furniture items, because they might be different customizations. I forgot what I was going to say. What was I going to say? Actually completely forgot. I guess I'm just talking about playground games. I feel like I've talked about playground games before. Hold on, this is why I search it. Playground games. Oh my god, day 323. I guess I'll call it playground football or something, because that's kind of like what I spoke most about. Yeah, we had no ball day, which isn't because of the footballers, I suppose, being, you know, wrecking havoc. And, you know, the football hooligans, they start at a young age here in the UK. That obviously makes no sense. If you're wondering why I'm not buying anything from Crazy Red, it's because I've already got all the art pieces, so I don't need to. Yeah, I'm not really sure necessarily why they banned the big footballs. In my school, you're only allowed very small ones. Like, I think about handball size. I'm not really sure how big a handball is, I'm going to be honest. It's not played a lot in the UK. I'd say if you board up both your fists and put them together, I'd say it's about that big. If you took that volume and made it into, actually it's probably a bit bigger than that now I think about it. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. Maybe if you took 3 fists. Actually I have another random story where we had like when we were in year 6, there was like a separate, it was the final year of primary school, we had like a separate building from the rest of the class from the rest of the school for really no apparent reason. I don't know why. I guess it's sort of to mirror like sixth form in secondary school often has like separate buildings or whatever and what have you for whatever reason. Oh, we already said hi to Ryan, but I guess we'll say hi again because Phoebe's here, why not? And anyway, because obviously that building needs like electricity or whatever, there were like electricity like wires like running from the main building over to the year 6 building. I can't remember why. Me and a different friend after school. He was the one I think he normally brought in for football. We were there after school, just outside the year 6 building. I don't even think we were in year 6 at the time. I think we might have been in year 5 or whatever. And then we brought up the idea of trying to hit like the electric wires with a football. We would like toss it back and forth to each other and try and like, you know, touch the electric wires. I don't know what we thought would happen. Obviously nothing's going to happen if you do it, and you know, it's a reason why like birds don't get absolutely fried by just like sitting on the electrical wires. It's because it's not actually completing a circuit, is it? It's you know, even if you like sort of like throw for one a non-conductive ball up at it, I don't think it would do anything. And if it did something, then you'd probably be like, yeah, that's kind of on like the electric wires part. But obviously we think they're the same as like the high voltage wires that you see like around the UK, which like run in the air or whatever, like the super high voltage ones which are dangerous or whatever. But obviously not. They're not obviously not going to put something like that dangerous just like within a couple of meters of some children. Even if it was like about 3 meters up in the air or something, it would just be utterly outrageous. Outrageous? That's not a word. Outrageous. And incredibly dangerous, I'd say. And especially if it like ever fell or anything like that, it'd just be a disaster all around. But so really they're probably just like normal sort of wires. I remember we would try and toss a football and hit it back and forth. And I remember purposely basically making, you might be like, it sounds like you're sort of like trying to compensate or whatever, but no, I remember it's genuinely true. I remember purposely throwing to miss the wires, but to try and get as close as possible, but not to actually hit it, because I was really scared in my mind. I'm like, what would happen if we actually accidentally hit those wires, and like we'd electrocute ourselves, or maybe like the entire school like electricity system would go down and we get blamed. And like, I don't want that to happen, don't want to get in trouble, obviously. Want to be on your best behaviour, this could be like incredibly bad, incredibly terrible. So it was a lot of just like throwing back and forth and purposely trying to miss. And he was quite athletic, that kid, and he never hit either. So I wonder if he was also purposely trying to do the same thing, trying to purposely throw that football. So we just miss it every single time. So each time we'd be like, oh, so close, or whatever. But internally in our heads we'd be like, oh, I hope that doesn't hit. Yeah, I don't know, it's not really related to like the playground and footballs, I suppose, as much as it is a combination of the playground football that we used. But sometimes stories aren't always all that related and whatnot. So yeah, no, playground football, I didn't really play much of it. Haven't really ever played much of it. I remember one day in sports day I had to play on the football team. It was like, there's always two sports that were going on. It was like a house competition between the houses, and one of the sports was football and the other sport was netball. And I played football despite the fact being like, I don't know how to play football. I think I kicked the ball like once because I knew basically no football strategy. I think I was a defender, I don't know, I sort of just like ran back and forth from the field, be like, oh, I'm open, and then hoping like no one ever passed me because I don't know what to do. I don't remember if we won or not, to be perfectly honest, but I'm sure it went fine. But yeah, anyway, I'm not really much of a football person, but congratulations to the UK women's team for winning. Honestly, good feat, I'd say. So anyway, not good for you as in like the good body part, I mean like good like accomplishment. Anyway, I'm going to round off this episode here, so if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons, I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares are greatly appreciated. Join my Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope you see each other again, but for now it's our farewell, so until next time, sit back here, bye bye for now.